Justin, let's first give you congratulations, because I know that the stock has already been trading in London. It's already a public company. Give us a little background about GW Pharmaceuticals. It's called GW because of Jeffrey Guy, right? Jeffrey Guy and Brian Whittle. They were two physicians that started this company. What is different about this kind of pharmaceutical company?
Right, so GW Pharmaceuticals is about 14 years old, and it was started in 1998, 1999. As in the UK, we were undergoing a debate about how to take care of patients who may benefit from the medicinal properties of molecules that sit within the cannabis plant. So the starting position for our research was that the legalization of cannabis or marijuana for medical use was not the right way to go about things, and that what we should be doing in the modern era is producing prescription drugs which meet the standards of FDA and other regulatory agencies around the world. So that was our mission as we set out in 1998-99, and as we come here today into the US market, we've been successful in getting our drug Sativex approved in 21 countries so far, and we look forward, we hope in due course, to bringing the drug into the United States.
What is Sativex? Because I know that you brought not a sample, but you brought something that shows a little bit about how it would be used.
Sure, I thought I'd bring a placebo example for you. So Sativex, as you can see here, is a spray.
Right.
The active ingredients are sprayed into the mouth. They're absorbed under the tongue or through the lining of the
sublingual,
cheek. Yeah. And patients spray sufficient amounts of the dose over during the course of the day, some in the morning and some in the evening. And the principal use of this product is twofold. The first is to treat pain in people who have cancer, and particularly those who are not responding adequately to morphine and other drugs along the opioid line. And the second use is as a treatment for people with multiple sclerosis who have a symptom called spasticity, which is stiffness and spasm, which is a very common disabling condition of multiple sclerosis. So we're developing this drug in these two different therapeutic areas.
Give us a little insight into how you navigated the regulatory environment in the United Kingdom.
Well, the process was extremely standard. Our challenge here was to ensure that what we were doing was entirely uniform with respect to what they expect to see with regard to any prescription drug. Just because it comes from a plant source and just because it comes from an interesting plant source at that, didn't provide any exceptions to the norm. So we've had to show over a decade of research that we're able to produce a standard product to international regulatory standards through a controlled manufacturing facility, that we've tested it extensively through clinical trials. We know the safety data of the product, we know in which patient population it works, and all that data comes together to allow the drug to be approved. So the process in the UK and the rest of Europe, and where the drug is available, is very similar to that which we're following here in the United States.
And it's also, is it correct to say that, you know, one of the hallmarks of drug discovery is that you use natural ingredients, whether that could be quinine, originally quinine for dealing with malaria, or coca leaves for producing certain types of anesthetics that would be used in, for example, morphine.
Right, so there are many medicines in the modern era that have their origins in plant sources. What we've done over the modern era, rightly, is ensure that those medicines can be translated into a regulatory system which provides protections for patients. Patients know that the drug they're getting every day is the same, manufactured to high standards.
So you've got consistency.
Consistency, you've got high quality manufacturing, you know exactly what you're getting, you know what doses you need to take, you have instructions from your physician, you know the side effects, and you know how to expect
so there's some accountability.
Right. And that has allowed us over the last 50 years to produce medicines which conform to those kind of practices. In our view, that's exactly what is required for medicines that are derived from cannabis that have molecules in them called cannabinoids. So we're interested in doing exactly the same thing, conforming to all the normal legal and regulatory standards, but creating a very specific product with a specific composition which can meet the very rigorous standards that FDA provided and laid down.
Now, we started the segment by talking about how your shares are now being listed on the NASDAQ. As I said, they were already being traded in London, GWPHV. What's next in the United States besides the listing? How do you get your prescription drug into the hands of doctors?
So the FDA approval process requires extensive and lengthy clinical trials. This product is currently in phase 3 trials, which is the final stage of clinical testing here in the United States. Those trials are recruiting patients in the US and other parts of the world right now, and they're expected to complete next year. Our plan is, subsequent to the results of those studies, that we will file a regulatory submission to the FDA in order to obtain approval for the product and allow it to be made available as a prescription drug in the United States.
What's the addressable market for this kind of drug?
Well, certainly in the field of cancer, regrettably, of course, it's a common and increasingly common condition. People with pain who have cancer experience pain, and particularly towards the end of people's lives, pain becomes increasingly an issue for them, and they take drugs such as morphine and other opioids. For a reasonable proportion of those patients, they're either unable to tolerate those drugs or don't obtain adequate efficacy. So there's around 400,000 people in the United States who would potentially benefit from this medicine in that they have cancer pain which is not being adequately treated today. So that's the sort of patient population that we would be hoping to treat in due course.
There is one company in the UK which has commercialised, I suppose, cannabis-based product for medical use. It's Justin Govers, Managing Director of GW Pharmaceuticals, a manufacturer of medical cannabis. Justin, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Now, you're listed on AIM. You've now got a product in the marketplace for pain relief in MS. Just explain to us how that works.
So we've developed a product called Sativex. I have a little example here. It's a spray formulation. It is derived from 2 standardized extracts of specific plant types of cannabis, which have been bred to exhibit specific medicinal properties. We have formulated it, developed it over the last 12 years, and have now sought and obtained approval for this product in 4 European markets. We have 4 more markets to launch next year and 10 more coming after that.
So those markets that you're now starting to sell in, UK, Spain, Germany, Denmark, New Zealand, Canada as well. How many countries by the end of next year do you hope to have this in?
We'd hope to have it approved in nearly 20 countries, and that really is focusing on Europe in the very short term. In the medium term, we have filings underway in Australia, parts of the Middle East are planned for next year as well, and then longer term we're looking at the United States.
The United States isn't for this spray in terms of pain relief for MS. You're looking at it for cancer patients. So what's the application? How is the application different for that?
So it's the identical product with the identical formulation. The approval so far is for people with multiple sclerosis who have a symptom called spasticity, which is stiffness and spasm, a debilitating symptom which is not well treated with current medication. We've also have applications, as you say, for this product outside of MS. Cancer pain is the target in the United States. It will also, we hope, that indication will eventually come to the UK as well. And the target patient population there are people with advanced cancer who are perhaps coming towards the end of their lives, who have high tolerance or have developed an ability not really to develop pain relief from the morphine or opiate that they're taking, and who are have an unmet need which we're seeking to treat with this new medication.
So it sounds like you've got lots of expansion plans, but there have been concerns for various companies operating in this space of government cutbacks on healthcare spending. What are the production costs, and how cost effective is this for governments? Are you concerned about that as you're trying to expand?
Well, I mean, I think the development costs for all new medicines these days are substantial, and that obviously feeds into the ability for us to charge in order to generate return for investors. We've spent over £100 million developing Sativex, taken 12 years to do that. The product costs about £6 a day, which in the context of a lot of new medications coming through onto the market is a significant discount to those new medicines, in particular treatments for the disease of MS. Those that are trying to slow the progression of the disease are significantly more expensive. So we appreciate that this isn't as cheap as perhaps an old generic medication, but it is treating a patient population for whom those medicines have failed to provide adequate benefit. So we think that pricing, we hope, is appropriate for healthcare systems.
Yeah, so this should be, in the UK, for example, this should be available on the NHS?
It is
today?
available on the NHS in the UK, as it should be, and we hope will be across similar healthcare systems across the world.
You're in phase 3 for the United States. And how long is the process from here to getting some kind of approval? Because once you're in the States, that's a major game changer, I guess, that investors will be looking at.
Yes, I mean the US itself alone is half of the world's pharmaceutical market, so it's would be a dramatic inflection point for our company to get approval there. These cancer pain studies that I referred to earlier are expected to run for another 2 years, so we'll be looking for approval after that in the US, and as I mentioned earlier, for the same cancer pain indication in Europe and elsewhere.
Well, are you, in terms of distribution and medical sales, are you handling that yourself? Are you doing that through third parties? How does it work? When you're the developer,
yes,
you get to a point when you have to hand over, don't you?
That's right. Our expertise is in the science of cannabinoids. These are molecules unique to the cannabis plant. We have 165 people, all based in the UK, science-based team looking at these research projects. We out-license the commercial rights to major drug companies. We signed a deal this year with Novartis to sell this drug Sativex in Asia, in the Middle East and Africa. We have Bayer, the German company, sell the product here in the UK, and Spain's largest drug company called Almiral sell the drug across Europe.
And look, and this is, you reckon, how many different uses or different drugs do you think, or uses you can come up with?
Well, the cannabis